Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Shahriyar Khan and my roll number is 1812. So, the topic of our group discussion is re-establishment of English as a language. So, my subtopics are the reaction against foreigners and the growth of national feelings. And the second is French cultural ascendancy in Europe. So, Henry III, son of John, was the king at that particular period of time. And he recklessly bestowed favor upon the foreigners, just like his father. In a reaction to his policies, a patriotic Chancellor Hobart adopted a vigorous policy of England for the English. And in at another council, a number of bishops told the king that the council which now you are seeking and acting upon uh, from that of the Peter Bishop of Winchester and Peter de Revolx, and both of these were foreigners. It is not wise and safe. Rather, it is quarrelsome and dangerous to the people of kingdom and the king himself as well. So at the council of these patriotic members, King decided to dismiss all the foreigners from his court. But after a short period of time, they were back again, and um as a result to their coming again, a popular feeling grew steadily among the people of England. Upon this situation, a Matthew Paris writer, he wrote that the king day by day lost the affection of his natural subjects, and one another native bishop Grostest, he expressed his reservations by declaring that the foreigners are the worst enemies of England. So a struggle could be seen among the people of the England, since uh, this struggle provided a common ground to the parents and the middle class as well, and this common ground resulted in a national feeling against these foreigners. So the leader of this coalition was Simon de Montfort, and he was a Norman born himself, though he had claimed his inheritance in England by the right of his mother. So under the leadership of Simon de Montfort, the practical outcome of this uprising was the provisions of Oxford and the Barons' War. And twice during these years, the foreigners were driven from England. In between this, Edward first came to the throne, and the government officials, for most of the part, were English people. So, foreign incursions in the 13th century delayed a national spread of the use of English, since at that particular time the French were the invaders and the conquerors. So, the elite class used to speak the language of French, and this resulted in the not a widespread of the English as a language. So again, hostility spread among the native people against the foreigners, and at that particular period of time, generation and or twice generations were living in England of that of those the foreigners. So they started to learn English as a language, since they wanted to mark a proper they wanted to gain a proper mark of an Englishman. So now we come to the French cultural ascendancy in Europe. Since Normans were the invaders and the conquerors, so the basic stimulus to the use of French in England was the popularity of the French language, since it was famous throughout the world, and especially it enjoyed popularity all over civilized Europe. France was commonly regarded as representing chivalrous society. It is because they were conquering lands, and they were invading and quite a huge uh, part of the earth. So the French language was an object of cultivation, since it is must that the language of the invaders and the conquerors is adopted by the native people. So most of the Europe courts were working under the language of the Normans. So with this, all the great lords in Germany had French teachers for their children, since they wanted their children should learn French as a language, because it was of the Norman, which were the invaders at that time. So Benedetto Latini, since he was an Italian, despite being Italian, he wrote his great encyclopedia in French language. Uh, and he mentions two reasons for his writing his great encyclopedia in French language. The first was that he was living in France, and the second was that French was the most common to all the people across the Europe. So another example is of Martino Canale. He translated the ancient history of Venetians from Latin into French, and since French was current throughout the world, and it was delightful to read and hear this language. That's the reason Martino converted and translated the ancient history into French language. So the prestigious civilization of French was a heritage from the glorious tradition of Charles Magne, and the University of Paris, which was quite famous at that particular time, since people across the globe used to come to France and study literature from the University of Paris. So it carried abroad the greatest of medieval literature, which was written in the French language. So the enterprise of Normans, it in particular constituted in the continual use of French among polite circles in England, since all the elite class of England used and they tried to speak French as their language in order to show their decency. So that was all from my side, and thank you.